What a pleasure it is to be joined this morning by the brand new WWE champion, the pride of Scotland, the one and only Drew McIntyre, who last night on the second night of WrestleMania defeated Brock Lesnar in the main event to have his WrestleMania moment and be crowned WWE champion for the very first time. Probably one of the more unusual and unique title changes in the history of pro wrestling. And now here he is, kind enough to join us to talk about it all. Drew, how are you? And congratulations to you.
Well, I'm fantastic. I'm feeling a little bit heavier since last night. And I've been talking all morning with a bunch of media outlets about how I won the WWE title against Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. It's pretty surreal.
Yeah, I can imagine. Could I ask? I mean, it was well documented and known that this was taped several days ago. Could you tell us when the match actually happened?
I gotta be lying if I could just name it off the top of my head. It was very recently, but I have a talent of pushing things out my head that I don't need in my head. And basically, when it was filmed, I pushed it right to the side, and that's why when I did every interview afterwards, it probably sounded like I was building up to the match like I didn't know, because I literally went, okay, that's it over. Anything can change in WWE. By the time it shows on TV, there might be something different that happens. So I'm going to pretend, that's it done. And when I watched it last night, I could barely remember what actually happened. It was like I was watching it with everyone else. It was just sort of like an outer body experience, sitting on the couch watching myself with the title, and the title was hiding in a room. I don't know if I was actually supposed to take it. It was a TV title. I stole it because no one's going to stop me taking the title. I hid it in a room, and I wasn't allowed to look at it until it was over and it was official. And now I can reach down and hold it up.
Wow, that is amazing. Yeah, I mean,
It
this is
doesn't leave
going
my
back.
side.
It's like the old days, right, where they used to tape title changes and then you get to watch on TV, but this doesn't happen anymore. So that's why it's so unique. And so I'm curious, when you did in fact win the belt several days ago, did you celebrate? Did you tell anyone, or did you like almost like suppress it so that you can have this moment last night with the rest of the world?
Yeah, like I said, I literally pushed it out of my head. I can't, honestly, I'm not lying when I said I don't remember when we filmed. Only my wife knew. My family, they didn't really push to ask. My dad kept saying, I'm not going to ask. And then we continued the call and he'd say, I'm not going to ask. And I finally said, Dad, we're going to say it. You're the kind of person who'd want the Avengers spoiled. Be quiet, just watch it like everybody else. And yeah, I literally pushed it out of my head. And it was really cool to watch it the way I did last night. I've not watched a WrestleMania from the couch since WrestleMania 23 when I was in Scotland. WrestleMania 24, I was in Orlando taking down the ring after the show, and obviously been pretty busy since. And to watch it on the couch, and the fact that I was in the main event against Brock Lesnar, winning the WWE title, seeing my emotion in that moment when I won the title and how real it was to me, I felt it all again watching it live.
So could you tell us how, in fact, like paint the picture for me? How did you watch it? Who was with you? What was the scene like?
It was pretty boring. It was me and my wife on the couch with our cats, like we always do. The current circumstances, everybody has to stay indoors. That's basically our life. Obviously, I'm on the road a lot, but now I'm not. This is how we generally live. We like to stay indoors. We're homebodies, and we watch TV on the couch with the cats. And the fact that we got to watch WrestleMania and my title change, like we always watch it, was pretty incredible. And with everything going on, just the outpour of positive messages from social media has literally blown my mind. I'm sorry, everyone, if I've not got back to you yet. I've never had so many messages in my life and so positive about myself and getting, my happy ending, about WWE bringing WrestleMania during these difficult times and making people, taking people's mind off everything and making them smile. With that ending, with myself holding up the title. And I just want to say thank you to everyone out there. I see what you're all saying. I'll get back to you when I can. I promise it's just going to take me like a week.
Best thing that someone said to you or wrote to you, or a message that you got from someone that was maybe unexpected? Is there something that sticks out among the probably hundreds of thousands of messages that you've received over the past 24 hours or so?
I mean, they all just mean so much to me. Obviously, it's up my dad and family and stuff. Those ones are very special because they have been such a part of my journey. And you sacrifice a lot in this job. It's a very selfish job, especially when you come from a different country. I've missed weddings and birthdays and births and so much. And they've always been in my corner. And to see my dad get so emotional meant a lot. To see my brother, who's not the most emotional guy, his wife caught him watching the show, and You know, seeing him react the way he reacted, you know, that caught me by surprise. And you know, my wife and everything she's been through, she's been on this journey with me since I got fired and built myself back up from. I wasn't starting from scratch. I started from 10 feet down, dug up to scratch, then worked my way to the main event of WrestleMania. She was a huge part of that. I just really hope I can inspire a few people out there that if you've got a dream, you've got a goal. It doesn't have to be, you know, my dream and goal, main event WrestleMania. You can do it. Just keep fighting, give it everything you've got, be accountable to the man or woman in the mirror. You can literally do anything in the world. And I genuinely believe that because I've done it.
Obviously, in the past, people have had their WrestleMania moments in the main event, title changes in front of 70,000, 80,000 people in a sold out arena. Yours different, but now this is part of your story. And maybe in some ways it's fitting because you have been an underdog for so long. But could you describe what it was like being in that empty performance center to have a moment with such real emotion involved and so important to you and symbolizes so much that you've overcome, but there's no one there to appreciate it with, right? What was that like for you internally?
It's weird because I thought it was going to be really weird. And when I was waiting to walk out for the match, it was really weird. But when my music hit, I don't know, I just switched into gear. I was in the zone. You probably saw in the entrance, you know, it wasn't my usual entrance. I'm pretty intense in general, but I was on a different level of intensity. I walked out there. There was no parading around or doing my pose in the corner. It was just very focused, looking at the WrestleMania sign. This is it, Drew. This is main event of WrestleMania. You're fighting Brock Lesnar. That possibly helped too when you see Brock Lesnar walk out, and when he's on, there's nobody like Brock Lesnar. The look in his eyes, like that was a fight face like I've never seen in my life. But I was ready. If you could read my mind when him and I were staring each other down, it's my favorite part. I could feel the tension through the screen. You know, I was thinking in my head, if you pull any funny business in this match, Brock Lesnar, like I'll beat you up for real. That was genuinely what was going through my head, and you know, it was such a cool moment, that visual there, and to actually beat Brock Lesnar within 5 minutes, kick out of an F5 on one. I can't put it into words like how much it means to me these past few months. The fans have rallied behind me, but the fact that I was put in a position to do that just put me on a different level as a superstar. And I can't thank everybody in the company involved enough for giving me this opportunity. And I can't thank the fans around the world enough for supporting me this whole time.
After night one of WrestleMania on the WWE Network, they aired a great documentary focused on you, and it was so real and it was so interesting to watch you go through the emotions of whether or not this event will take place in the midst of the pandemic and whatnot. Could you tell us how nervous were you? Here you are, you win Royal Rumble, you're facing Brock Lesnar. The build has been tremendous. The fans are behind you. It's a true underdog story, and then this, this surreal moment hits the entire world and everything is shutting down around you. Did you think that perhaps this wouldn't happen and you'd be robbed of this moment?
Yeah, that documentary captures it all perfect. You know, my 19 years has been a full of ups and downs, but that 3 months have been wild. You caught me with anger and disappointment that I was getting pulled out of the UK. And then as time passed, I realized that this is bigger. Like I was watching the news. This is bigger than my selfish reasons of I've worked so hard. I can't believe I'm not getting my WrestleMania moment. And we have an opportunity. WWE's pushing forward. We're bringing everyone WrestleMania during such a difficult time, and we can like make people smile. And if we're doing this, and I'm in the title match, you know, I'm so damn proud to be in it. And I went from every range of emotion you can possibly imagine to the point of acceptance and excitement. And that's why it came across the way it did last night, because I was very aware of how big this was. And after I won the match, I had my private moment because there was no one there. Usually adrenaline's going, you're playing off the crowd. I had a very private moment. Then I remembered, oh yeah, the world's watching right now. I need to get away from, I've just won the title and Brock Lesnar was lying there too. I crawled across the ring and I remember seeing the camera on the floor. And one of our taboos in wrestling, you know, you don't break the fourth wall. You don't look into the camera. Like in a movie, it would be very weird if people were staring down the camera, but I couldn't help myself. I was just so overcome with emotion. I was so thankful to everybody that supported me and believed in me this whole time. I was so grateful for everybody choosing WWE to take their mind off of things. And with this WrestleMania, when the world stood still, I couldn't help myself. I reached out to the camera and I told them thank you. It wasn't planned. It's just how I felt. And I thought it'd be edited because it's not something we traditionally do in our industry, but they kept it in there. And that was a very real moment of me just thanking everybody out there for choosing WWE and believing in me. And, you know, that is just as big a moment as if there was 80,000 people screaming my name and winning the title, that meant just as much. That if I brought one smile with that happy ending when I won the title, that would have meant the world. But I've seen social media and I've seen like how happy and excited everyone were to watch WrestleMania and how hard our team worked and we really pulled it off. You know, it's an incredible feeling. And eventually we'll get there when we go back to an arena. And when I want to be the guy that walks out with the title, I want to hear the fans screaming. I know how crazy and passionate they are in general. When we finally get in a building together, I want to be the one that walks out, holds up the title, and says, you know, I had my moment at WrestleMania, a very private moment, but this is our freaking wrestling moment.
Amazing. You know, speaking of subtle moments, you also seemed when you just won the belt, you were holding the title, you looked at Brock, and it almost looked like you gave him a bit of a nod there. Do you remember? Do you recall what I'm talking about? And if so, what was that about?
Yeah, I mean, everything I do is in the moment. I think it was a couple of things. It probably was a look of appreciation because he's Brock Lesnar, and that match made me more than anything possibly could. Even in the circumstances, like I crushed Brock Lesnar, but also I just had to survey the situation. I just beat Brock Lesnar. He was lying down in the middle of the ring, and he wasn't rolling out the ring. He would lay there for the whole time. He could have rolled out and went to the back and just left the building. He lay there the whole time as I stood over him with the title, and that was so. You know, I appreciate that so much. I can't put that into words, but I think I was honestly just surveying the situation more than anything. Of, oh my God, I just beat Brock Lesnar in the main event of WrestleMania, and you see, I hesitate before I take the title. And it was all real. It was very, very real that it's happening. I just can't believe it's happening. I just want to savor this moment, and that was all very personal. Like usually the adrenaline's going, I would have grabbed it, but yes, arms in the air. That's the kind of scene you see like when we get back to the hotel. I've won a few titles, and usually it's you don't get that personal moment till you finally get to the hotel. You're away from everybody. You close the door. Maybe your significant other's there. You have that personal moment by yourself. The world saw my personal moment before I realized, oh crap, that's right, everyone's watching. There's a camera. So that's what made this unique for me personally in that WrestleMania moment was everyone got that intimate moment with me.
I loved your story so much because if you would have told someone maybe 6 years ago that in 2020 Drew McIntyre is pinning Brock Lesnar to win the WWE Championship, they're thinking that you're crazy, that it's some sort of made up story. Could I ask, for perhaps those that don't know, do you recall when you got fired, quote unquote, from WWE's when you were released from your contract? What were the circumstances? Who told you, and how did you react? What were you doing that day? Do you remember?
Yeah, I mean, with the documentary, I've been kind of reliving some of those days and realizing that I don't remember it quite as well as I thought I did. As I say, I've got a talent to push negative things to the side in my brain and push things I don't want there right now off to the side and pull them back eventually. But talking over with Joey, who does the WWE Chronicles, especially sitting with my wife when it was being filmed and she was pointing out, that's not exactly how it went, Drew. Like, I said, I got the call. Mark Carrano had called me. He was pretty surprised. Like the response was, everyone was pretty surprised. And I just thought to myself, okay, I'll just go ahead now and take over the world. And that's kind of what I've been putting out there for a couple of years because I kind of pushed the negativity out and the feelings out that I just hit the ground running. And my wife reminded me, that's not true, Drew. You were very upset. You were very disappointed. You couldn't understand. My God, my life's work's been taken away. What am I going to do about it? And yeah, I did have an incredible range of emotions during that period that I didn't remember until we did this documentary. And she reminded me of, how down I was. And I did get a mission statement together quick. I did plan to go out there and tell the world that I'm going to show you the real me and take over the world and show you what UK wrestling can truly do. And a lot of people put it over, like Mick Foley on Stone Cold Steve Austin's podcast. And a lot of people said, he also texted Triple H and told him, keep an eye on this Drew McIntyre. And a lot of people said, that 3MB guy, really? So every time I was about to go out during that period, I was terrified. She reminded me of that. And I was sitting there like shaking almost like, oh my goodness, I've got to go out there and I'm going to say all this stuff. And I don't really have a script. I'm so used to scripts. I'm just going to speak from the heart. And I felt like I was kind of faking it till I made it for a while. I went out there and once I got going, I was into it. I was passionate. It was real. But I was so worried before every match. I was Evolve champion at the time. And a lot of people in the world didn't know, like Ricochet and Johnny Gargano and Roderick Strong and just this insanely talented roster. I won the title my first day there and I had to main event that. So I went from 3MB matches for years, barely doing 2 minutes and getting beat every time, to main eventing with that level of talent. So I had to sit in the back, confident face of, I'll be just fine. and kind of, like I say, like in my head, faking it till I made it. And like, everyone believed in me, gave a platform. As time passed, like that's when she said, then your confidence started growing. Then you started becoming, what everyone saw you as all along, what Mr. McMahon saw all along, what Triple H saw all along. When that confidence grew and it kept spiraling from there. But I remember that period very clearly now, thanks to the Chronicle. And I just want to thank everyone that believed in me, gave me the platform to show the world the real me. And because I assure you, I was very scared and nervous at first. And it all worked out in the end. Things happened the way they happened for a reason. If I wasn't fired, there's no way I could have logically transitioned into a serious role from where I was at with 3MB. The crowd wouldn't have bought it for a start. And I needed to get perspective. I went away a boy, I returned a man, I returned ready, not to be one of the top guys, the top guy. I've been through so many ups and downs. It prepared me for any situation, including the current situation. I'm so proud to be the guy pushing forward in these uncertain circumstances.
Was there any point where you thought that you were done, that you just kind of had enough and we're going to go do something else?
There was no point I thought I was done, but it was certainly scary. And like, I had not been in the independent scene since before I got signed, and we were starting the British scene at the time. There was nothing. Like, the UK scene had died off. The days of Big Daddy and Rollerball Rockall, etc., and Fit Finlay, and back in the 80s was gone, and we were starting it. And I was, oh my goodness, there's nothing out there. And I saw, there's something going on here. There's a spark going on in the UK, and it just needs something. It needs a face, and I understood it needed that. It was just, I wanted to be that, and people believed in me to be that guy. It's just, I was very worried and nervous about pulling it off, but thankfully, things worked out in the end.
When you re-signed with WWE, did you have an honest conversation with someone? Did you even predict that this would happen? You re-sign, you go to NXT, who knows what happens then, right? Who knows how the crowd is going to receive you and all that stuff, and how the climb up the ladder goes. Did you tell anyone, all right, I'm back, not just to be another guy again, I will win the championship at some point? Do you recall that?
I probably didn't put it that way. It's a bit of a, I don't know. I don't want to come across as egotistical. I certainly told my wife that. Like I said to her, I'm not going back here to be just one of the guys. I'm going back to be the guy. And out with the company, the goal was always get back to WWE, but it got to a point where I was thankfully helping so many companies, like took ICW in Scotland from 1,500 people to 2,000 to 4,000 to 7,000. My name was making a difference. When WWE is generally what sells the tickets, the name of the company, I was making such a difference. I didn't know if I'd be back. Then when my Impact contract lapsed, my wife and I were deciding the next move. I was thinking probably Japan would be the next logical step because of my physical style. I always wanted to go there. And William Regal told me, speak to Triple H first, have that conversation. And we got on the phone. He'd been following, what I'd been doing, was very proud, and that I'd finally started to realize that potential that he'd always seen in me. And after, that phone call, I knew it was time to come back to WWE, to come back home, but I was adamant it was going to be NXT. He felt the same. I wanted to be reintroduced to WWE, who's who I am now. The NXT fans or the hardcore fans, they knew what I was all about now. Also, I wanted to do what I've been doing, to be a leader, to pull up everyone around me, to teach them, the positive things, positive lessons, but also how to avoid the negative parts that maybe I've made some bad decisions. And that was such an important time for me to be a leader in NXT and be part of that system. And obviously the goal eventually was WWE champion, but I loved my time there. I hate that it was cut short because of an injury, but in my mind, it was always, getting back to the Vince McMahon prediction from 10 years ago, future world champion, and making that prophecy come true. And last night, I can't believe it. First ever British champion, first guy from the UK to ever win the title. And the chosen one prophecy came true.
Did you talk to Vince after the match? Was he back there? And if so, what did he say to you?
He was very happy. I think, again, like Triple H is very proud of the man I've become today. And that means the world to me. Because, obviously I had the feelings of kind of letting the company down back in the day and letting myself down, but also letting him down. So, I'm very happy that I'm able to achieve what I achieved last night and hopefully achieve a lot more going forward for myself and the company. And, Triple H was right by his side, and obviously he's been very hands-on with me since coming back. And that meant the world to speak to him too. And I spoke by like lots of people. I don't want to just start naming names. It sounds like a name drop. And I spoke to Shawn Michaels by text, who's been very instrumental in my development since I came back, especially my time in NXT. And it was really cool. I'll say that much. I won't go into what was said, but it felt good.
I know you were a longtime fan growing up, and you loved everything about the business and watched it, even though your friends weren't watching it and all that stuff. Prior to last night, as a fan, what was your favorite WrestleMania moment growing up?
Ooh, so many. WrestleMania 7 is important to me because it was my first VHS. My brother and I watched it so much that the videotape wouldn't work anymore. And I can remember pretty much the whole show from top to bottom and everything that happened on there. But my favorite match, probably WrestleMania 13, Bret Hart, Stone Cold Steve Austin. I loved that match as a kid. I love that match to this day. It's just, perfect match with some incredible imagery, incredible moments that, will never be forgotten. Much like this year's WrestleMania, the whole 2 days will never be forgotten. That match will never be forgotten. That sharpshooter and Stone Cold pushing up and the Crimson Mask will never be forgotten. And that was a cool match that I still watch to this day. I was watching it the other day. My wife told me turn off that wrestling. You talk about it enough.
Yes, the infamous double turn. And I'm dying to know, just from someone who's involved in it all, your moment was great. The other two moments that have been talked about all weekend, of course, the Boneyard match and the Firefly Funhouse match. Which did you prefer? Did you watch both nights? I would
Oh
imagine you
yeah,
did.
yeah.
And
I watched everything.
which did you
So
prefer of those two? Two amazing things, very different. But I'm
yeah,
curious
very
which you like
different.
better.
Uh, I don't know because I enjoyed them both. I think for people that aren't hardcore wrestling fans, you got to give the Undertaker one the nod because you can watch that just going, I'm aware of the Undertaker, and it's so unique that you'll be into the story, like Taker playing, I don't know, Dirty Harry or something. It was just so unique the way it was shot and entertaining. And I'm concerned with poor AJ. When someone checks on him, Luke Gallows is the only one that's fine. He's probably got two broken legs. Did anyone check in Carl Anderson? He got tombstone and then set on fire. I'm pretty sure that's how Candyman started. You can say Carl's name in the mirror 5 times. He just appear and attack you. Maybe that's his next storyline. But yeah, I enjoyed that. And Firefly Funhouse was on right before us. I was like, wow, this is one crazy match that's on right before me and Brock. And if you know like John Cena's history, Bray Wyatt's history, you're a fan of the business and kind of the inside stuff, then that was like awesome. And if you're not a fan, I'm sure you enjoyed it too. It was like a fever dream. If you're just tuning in for the first time, it was so out of the box. But I enjoyed them both for very different reasons. And I'm so glad that WWE took some risks because the future is uncertain. We're going to push forward as long as we can, as long as it's safe, following the CDC guidelines. And I think matches like that might play a part in going forward and maybe even into the future, that we're thinking outside the box is so cool. It became WWE Presents Mortal Kombat at that point, jumping between some crazy scenarios. And yeah, we really knocked it out of the park and the team did a hell of a job.
And finally, for those that don't know, what happens now for you? Like, are you on Raw tonight? Is there a Raw tonight, or did everything just stop with WrestleMania? What could you tell us?
Check out Raw tonight. I will be on Raw tonight.
Okay, I like that. That is amazing. That is a good plug. I'm a big fan of the Scots. I don't know if you're an MMA fan, but the Scots are some of my favorite. Joanne Calderwood is a great fighter from Scotland. Robert Whiteford. There's a whole bunch of them. None of them have tasted gold on the big stage on the UFC, so perhaps they will follow in your footsteps. Joanne Calderwood was set to fight for the women's flyweight title in June, but of course that is now on pause. So you've given them inspiration. Well done to you, my friend.
Thank
Congratulations
you.
on the big victory. Enjoy it. And, unfortunately, it wasn't in front of a large crowd, but I think that's why perhaps people will remember it even more so because it was so unique. And your story is an amazing one, an inspirational one. So thank you so much for the time. Enjoy the victory. Congratulations once again.
Thank you, buddy. I really appreciate the time. Take care.